Hey, it's Jess Salguero, and you're listening to How Are You Now, the toughest podcast in Letterkenny.
One, two.
Downtown G, I got my Mustang and my guitar. Ain't got a dime in my pocket, don't need no cash, poverty ain't gonna stop this.
Oh yeah,
I like that one.
that's some good shit right there.
Hey, Dean.
Hi Tiara.
Hi, how are you now?
Good, and you?
Not so bad.
Lovely. It's fine. We change it up every so often. I'm happy.
Oh,
for that.
since my mic was working.
Yeah, your mic was working. I was on mute, and so sometimes you get excited, and that's what happens. So everything's live now. So.
Yeah, we all good.
So, our musical guest today is Flexidecibel. There's
Seriously, I really like them.
Yeah, a song called "Dirty Girl."
I need to listen to more of them.
Well, you can.
It's a nice little funk groove.
You can
really
because
like
they are now on our Spotify playlist.
Yay!
So if you haven't, if you go look for our Spotify playlist, it'll be in the show notes.
I love how smooth you are with that kind of stuff.
It's it's not like it's easy. I can't dress up like I'm in cosplay.
True.
So whereas you can go out to howareyounowpod.com/cosplay and learn all about our cosplay contest that we have going on every month.
Again, smooth. So smooth.
But yeah, the music is great. I love the indie music, and if you're an independent band, you can go to host@howareyounowpod.com and send us your information, and we'll listen to your tunes, and we'll more than likely have your music on.
Please.
One I've had to turn down, which was live music, and it didn't sound so great.
Yeah.
Which
Live music just doesn't translate well to this kind of situation.
To reproduction. So
but once you have recorded versions of those songs.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It doesn't necessarily have to be studio. If you record it in your house and you can get a good sound out of that,
right?
Go for it. Also, a reminder: we have a voicemail number. If you ever like to leave us a voicemail for any reason whatsoever, you got questions about an episode, whether it's one of our episodes, one of the Letterkenny episodes, questions for us, whatever.
Trivia for awesome.
Yeah, sure. Try to stump
telling us how much you love us.
Yeah, we need a stump awesome.
Oh my God, we really need a stump awesome. That would be.
Yep.
We need to make a game about that.
We do. Also, we have our Patreon site, patreon.com/howareyounowpod, and then it's getting closer, but it's not yet available, is our Jess Salguero. You heard her little intro at the top of the episode there. We did an interview with her, and it was amazing. And
so if you're a Patreon member, hey, you can go listen to that now.
$1 a month.
But if you're not, you got to wait 2 more weeks, right?
Yeah, end of the month, yeah.
Yeah, end of February.
Yeah, and actually, and you've got
because this is coming out on Valentine's Day.
And the day before Valentine's Day. I mean, we could push it.
Right, because Friday.
Yeah. So, our recap episode will be at the end of the month, I think, that's the 26th that it comes out.
27th.
27th. Okay. So
I love that I know that, but I only know that because of an IEP on Monday the 24th, which is the day we come back from winter break, midwinter break.
So yeah, you can get your cosplay contest in until our recap, so we can announce it on the recap. So our musical guest of the week was Flexidecibel. Our guest this week has been a long time fan of ours, and we've chatted a time or two on the lines.
On the interwebs.
Ryan Devlin. Ryan, how are you now?
Good, and you?
Oh, not so bad.
I feel like I thought about that for the last couple of weeks, so I didn't screw that up.
Right?
It always tricks people because, being a Letterkenny fan, you're used to being the one saying, how are you now? And so,
right?
And so you always want to come back with Well, not so bad. No,
Yeah,
wait.
like every week when I listen to the podcast, I'm like ready to go. And you guys say it to the guest, and I'm like the idiot that's in my car, like, good and you? just practicing.
Yep.
I love it.
Yeah, you got to get you practicing because you never know. You might get on just secretively. We may come to your house.
Yeah.
Beat down the door.
Like how we would go up to Canada to see episodes before that. Yeah.
Exactly.
I did that as well.
Yeah. I mean, didn't everybody?
And Little too.
Exactly. Yep. Exactly.
Certainly didn't watch all of those episodes while vacationing.
Right. Yeah. Going up to get a nice little cottage up in the mountains there, and
Wait, what are you talking about?
Going
up in Canada. Yeah. I was actually thinking that we were like on the beach at like White Rock, where
Sure.
so you got the Pacific Ocean, and you can kind of still see some of Washington State, and
yeah, some of Alaska.
No, that's too far.
Can you? Well, you should be able to see
From
Russia.
White Rock.
You can probably
Not
see
from White Rock. You can see Russia from Alaska. You're mixing it up, baby.
All right. So Ryan, why don't you tell us your Letterkenny origin story?
It's not great or anything. My wife and I were watching some other random show on Hulu, and anybody that uses Hulu regularly knows that they find one commercial and run it 150,000 times.
Mm-hmm.
So we watched a little Letterkenny commercial where it's Wayne just talking about how he broke up with Rosie and that little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And we saw it about 15 or 20 times, and it got us to, what the hell is this? And eventually I watched 1 or 2 episodes and told her she had to see it. And then we pretty much both binged it like crazy, and then waited forever to get new episodes, and here we are. So
yeah, I
feel like in the States, the way that people have discovered this has been really beneficial, because we as a society are very much binge watchers now. That's just kind of what, well, I don't know if, I'm sure other societies too, but in the US it very much is that kind of a culture now. And when Letterkenny hit Hulu, there were like 5 seasons. Because this season that we're talking, that we're just finishing now, was from last year. So all of the stuff before,
there was 2. Then they put out the 5 that they had up until then,
right?
And then when 6 came out,
that was what I was saying.
Yeah.
We got 5 seasons in the U.S., and so people who just discovered the show got to binge watch immediately, and just like fall in love and devour the show.
Right.
Little different for us because we were watching it in Canada. For a while before that, but
on Crave TV,
yes.
The original home of Letterkenny. Even though Hulu says it's that it's a Hulu original, it is not.
It's a Hulu original in the U.S.
Yes,
right.
It should be more like Hulu exclusive.
Yeah,
I think probably would be the right terminology.
That makes more sense. But
so
so when we started, there were, I think all 6 seasons were on when we started watching it on Hulu. Yeah. And then I acquired copies of it and have it on like my home media server system.
Yeah.
Right
and it has, I just looked it up while you guys were talking. It's been replayed 1,600 times. So
yep.
It's been watched a few times.
Just once or twice.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. And probably I think this episode, just because of delays that we had, got watched the fewest.
Honestly. Well, yeah. For starters, when the seasons started coming out quicker, and I mean, when we started this podcast, the show had been out for a while, so we are just now like we're a year behind right now, because this episode came out 1 year ago Friday in the US. It came a few days before in Canada, but so like we are now about to do the episodes that came out since we started doing the podcast. And so definitely the ones that we have watched the least, just because of when they came out and being busy with everything else. And then, this weekend, of course, some stuff came up, which meant we didn't what we usually do, which watch it like 500 times in one weekend.
Right.
But yeah, this was still one of my favorite episodes.
Oh yeah. It's lots of fun. It's a fun episode.
Yeah.
So Ryan, what's your, how are you now origin story?
Oh yeah.
Oh, well, similar. We watched, all 6 seasons, and then at that point I think the fate of the show was kind of in the balance. Nobody really knew if new episodes were coming or not when we finished this episode, actually. And that just led me to, being on Facebook and the interwebs and other areas and searching around. And I came across, I think I came across the podcast Facebook first.
Okay.
And that prompted me to start listening to it. And I think I got caught up on the podcast pretty quick here, like within a couple weeks. And then we're waiting on the new episode every week. So I've kind of been an overall just addict of your show and the show itself. And
I understand. Yeah.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah. It's funny because we actually have more content.
Yeah.
Than there is show.
True.
Right.
Because our episodes are twice as long as the TV show.
Yeah. Exactly. If not, and some are
but
more.
half of it is like fuck, fight, Ferda.
Oh yeah.
Every time.
Yeah. So yeah. What's funny is they kind of play a game of that in here, but and we'll get to that. So you have anything you'd like to plug, Ryan?
Not particularly. I manage an ice rink for a living.
Nice.
So I have kind of some hockey insight on the show and stuff like that. But based on the ownership group of the facility I manage, I've no reason to really plug it. And they're all pretty regional. So support your local hockey rink pretty much covers it.
There you go. I like that. All right, so let's get into show stuff. So last week we had Awesome on for our season 6, episode 6. When music Yellow Light Maybe. So yeah, basically you was just it was a breakup story.
Mm-hmm.
It was a proposal story.
Mm-hmm.
And just how how to handle
season finale.
Yeah, it was a season finale.
Yeah.
So it was
left a bunch of cliffhangers, closed up some other stuff.
Right. So it was, I mean, it was Anik breaking up with Derry and Wayne about to propose with Mary Fred.
Yeah.
And so that's really the gist of the show. Everything else was kind of fluff. I mean, Wayne and Mary Fred being really cute. And
get cuter.
Seriously. So yeah, that was really it. So we want to thank Awesome and Yellow Light Maybe. They were great to have on the show. So now we're going to get into this week's episode, our deep dive of season 6, episode 7, Valentine's Day. So we don't start off normally like we do with most opens. So there's no little, you were hanging out with your friends the other, no, they were what pops up is the wood burning of Stormy with a heart around her and the arrow through it, along with some plucky string music.
Yeah.
And then, they cut to inside the kitchen of the house. Katie's wishing everybody happy Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's Day, you heartbreakers. Wayne, as usual with holidays, is poopy pants.
Especially this holiday.
Yeah.
Well, there's no tradition.
Right.
Right.
So he doesn't believe in commemorating the beating and execution of St. Valentine. So Derry pipes in and...
What's your problem with Valentine's?
One more time.
What's your problem with Valentine's?
And just so we're Labatt crystal clear, you said...
What's your problem with Valentine's Day?
Let's take a Valentine's out.
You're in the wrong Valentine zone, pal.
Lovers in a dangerous Valentine, Derry?
What's your problem? Just because I like to have a good time on
Waco.
Valentine's.
Attaboy.
So
I love so much that like you could just tell that they were probably in speech therapy together because he looks right at Wayne like, oh God. And Wayne's like, hey, huh? Attaboy.
He doesn't make fun of him about it.
No, he's just well, he does a little bit. He
Yeah.
makes him repeat it because he's like, I'm not, should I make fun of it? No,
Right.
this is the way you talk. Attaboy.
Right. So then Squirrely Dan pipes in. He talks about how much he loves Valentine's and he loves making his personal Valentine's Day cards for his pals. And Katie says that's one thing that she really appreciates about him. And he plans on giving them out at the speed dating event that they're about to go to. Wayne states that he's not going. So then we cut to the church social room. I'm guessing that's where it is, or I don't know what you would call that
Social hall, yeah.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
And it's all made up. Matchmaker, which we've seen from back in relationships.
Emma Hunter.
Yeah, she's hilarious.
Like, she's a great actress,
Yes.
but and she does that character fantastic because I absolutely can't stand her.
Same.
Like, she's like
Same.
she's the most irritating person on the planet, Aleeler.
Yep.
Like somehow she manages that really, really well.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. So she's getting everything tidied up. You could see she's, straightening out her dress. That she's pregnant, and she's like got her hand on her belly, and so then folks start showing up. Katie shows up first. She struts on in, and then Derry shows up. He does his little groovy dance, and then Squirrely Dan shows up, does the little, I don't know what you call that dance with the hands on the knees.
I don't know.
That old time.
I'm not hip.
No idea.
Riley and Jonesy show up together. They do a little bump and groove grindy dance. Then Rold shows up. He does a little pull in the rope dance.
Love it.
Gail also with a grindy
Shaking her
dance,
booty.
shaking her booty and grinding down. Dax and Ron do a little dance on each other. Coach shows up and he's kind of ambling in. He has to tuck his shirt in. And
Foreshadowing.
Yeah, the record.
Yep.
So the matchmaker introduces the event and tries to be very cutesy about it, about fucking our Will heartstrings.
It even made it more irritating. Like in preparation for doing the podcast, I watched it with the subtitles on a couple times. I normally don't, and like the fucky of a Will heartstring, like that even made it worse for me. Like I was more angry at her.
Oh, I hate baby talk.
Well, and Dan talks about it right off the bat. Because he sits down and he goes, "I'm horny," and then she starts doing it. He goes, "No longer horny."
A little diddly do.
No more, right.
Diddle-eater. What is it?
Maybe a little diddle-ealer.
Yeah, and he's like not horny anymore.
No longer's horny.
There it is.
And then so they kind of go around, and Dax and Ron informs her that they are two sport players, and that they're just there to make a run around the bases. Katie's obviously into it.
But is that the first mention of that through any of the show? I've not noticed that before. I think this is the first time they've been like, potentially somewhat hetero.
They've flirted.
Yeah.
They've not. I don't think they've ever like been opposed to it. But yeah, they're. This is the first time I'm pretty sure that they say that they're willing to have vagina.
Actually make the point of two sport player.
Yeah.
So Riley and Jonesy also, they have the clap, so they're
again. Gross with the clap.
Coach throws this in.
I just feel like I'm being unfaithful to my dead wife Barb. She died. Be embarrassing.
My dead wife Barb, she died. So then the Rold stands up and talking about kind of going on this thing about how why hasn't Dax and Ron just taken old Roldy down and the doggy training and all this stuff.
I made a note of all of those.
Yeah, and so and Ron is kind of
they're like, why? What is going on?
Yeah,
London bridging, double cowgirl, doggy training, doggy deluxe.
Exactly. So then we cut to Modine's. Wayne walks in and Glenn is tending bar. Glenn asks Wayne why he isn't attending the Valentine speed dating thing. Stuart, sitting at the other end of the bar, says, "Fuck Valentine's Day." Wayne is surprised to see Stuart drinking beer at the bar. Stuart explains that why he believes Valentine's Day is a sham. Then Wayne brings out his views on love.
You never find love, you go looking for it. It's when you're not looking.
So you're not looking at just gonna let that hang there? You're not gonna finish that thought?
Sorry?
Okay.
So they're commiserating on Valentine's Day, and Stuart finally asks Wayne if he'd like to go have a beer with him. Wayne agrees. They go off and sit at the table. So
that whole you never find love if you're looking for it thing is how they make a point of that several times, that you're not even going to finish the sentence.
Yeah.
Am I missing something? Because I don't know.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then we cut back to the church. The matchmaker explains she notices there are more little girls than little boys, and the rest don't care. Nobody cares. They say they can go to have a good time catching up with friends. Riley and Jonesy say it'll give them some time for sport macking, so they can practice flirting. The matchmaker is discouraged that they think this way. Gail then she says that's not what her $250 fee is for. Gail says she thought she dickered her down to $225, and this is what about $230, and says, well, not maybe if you have cash. So anyway, back to Modine's again. So there's little quick cuts here. Wayne and Stuart are sitting at the table, and they start basically trying to find common ground between themselves. Turns out that they are both fans of hockey fighting.
Yep. Not hockey the game.
No.
Hockey fighting.
Right.
Hockeyfights.com.
Right. So they start talking about hockey players that they like as far as doing the fights, and where each of them would rate. And so that really gets them going. And then back to the church. The speed dating has started. Katie and Ron start with their baseball sex euphemisms. They both get really turned on. Derry and Gail have a play on their names flirt, I guess you could say. Rold and Jonesy have a session of Ask a Gay Dude, where we find out that not all gay sex is butt sex, but all butt sex is gay. And Coach and Riley have partnered up. Coach tells them to look away because tells Barb to look away because they've hit rock bottom. And then Riley suggests some role playing, and he brings this up.
Hiya, handsome. I heard you're a hockey coach.
Hiya. I'm kind of nervous. I don't normally date girls that look like Lyle Lovett and Sheryl Crow had a fuck child.
I actually think that's a pretty good chirp, but I just want to Google that to be sure.
It is.
It's a really good, because as soon as you said it, it's like, oh, I can see it. All of the things that Coach called him.
And it's not pretty.
Right.
Maggie Gyllenhaal, but with her face smashed in by a bus. So then, Squirrely Dan and Dax are paired up. And so Squirrely Dan gets to learn all the sex terms, baseball terms that are also sex terms. Mm-hmm. And then we get back to Katie and Ron, and it's really heating up over there.
Choke up on the bat a little bit, and I bet you fist it right through my infield.
I've choked on some bat before, but I'm pretty confident that no matter what you're sending me, I'll get some good wood on it.
I think it's about time you expand my strike zone.
Every ground ball I've hit finds a hole.
I'm great at making contact with the meat of the bat.
You can put an E on the board because I muffed it right between the legs.
Oh, I think it's about time I sent you to the Bush League.
I'm a spray hitter, so look alive out there.
Fuck. I love that.
I love that you can't really hear that she's saying fuck, but she's just like,
so then we more Derry and Gail name play back and forth. Roll's still giving Jonesy the information for Ask a Gay Dude. That's where the gay sex is butt sex comes in. Mm-hmm. Coach is still chirping at Riley with all the Maggie Gyllenhaal stuff and the Dave Coulier and Alanis Morissette.
For you ought to know.
Fuck. So and Dan and Ron are still going through the list of baseball/sex terms, and the matchmaker very angrily calls time. So we cut back to Modine's. Stuart and Wayne are still at the table talking hockey. Wayne asks Stuart if he's always been a skid, and Stuart says that it started with Marilyn Manson and then Rammstein, and that Slipknot has never disappointed. Wayne doesn't understand any of that.
But I love that Stuart right there is like, I've been a skid as long as Hicks have been calling me a skid.
Yep, as long as you Hicks have called me one.
And then they're like, well, clicks are stupid.
Yeah, and then they get on hockey players.
Jocks.
Jocks and hockey
because they hate jocks, except for jocks. Jocks are terrible. Oh yeah.
So, yeah, they get on all that, and they order another beer. Glenn thinks this is surely a sign of the apocalypse. So back to the church. Katie and Dax kick things off with their version of baseball flirting.
Oh,
Okay.
Oh, sorry, I said that wrong. I mean, and then we get to Rolled and
Rolled and Ron.
Ronzi.
Yes.
And that's what they get kicked off with this.
Okay.
Haven't seen you since the Little League.
Yeah, you really worked me inside with your famous split finger.
Well, if you'd adjusted your stance, I bet you could have pulled one without anyone expecting it.
I was like an older pitcher because usually you've perfected the knuckler.
RJ Dickey?
Suck my RJ Dickey.
My catcher gave me the sign to give you the backdoor breaking ball.
Really? I was hoping you'd just scorch me one right down the pipe.
No, I'm sorry about the low throw last time. You may need to dig in the dirt with me.
I'm game for you being behind the play, but just the foul tip.
Your stroke is perfect. Can't wait for you to hit it where the grass don't grow.
Oh, grass grows here, here, and here. But I like the challenge. You really gotta pound my zone.
My fastball ain't what she used to be. I'm a real soft tosser.
It's hard for me to wrap my hands around that one when I'm getting banged inside.
I'm gonna rope you one right up the middle. Fuck.
I love the teeth click.
Yeah.
Yeah, the little click there.
Yeah, really good. So Darian Jonesy head down the route of Sport Mackin at the same time Riley and Dan do, and it does not go well. My dick is dead. Can I bury it in you?
That was about as off-putting as I thought it was going to be.
So why don't you take this and let's never speak again.
Never speak again.
And then sits there silently.
So yeah, that.
And he didn't understand the pun on the card.
Right. Let's stick together.
Yeah.
So yeah, they shared a brain cell, and I think that Jonesy had control over it at that moment. And then Gail's trying to get things going with Coach. They just start sharing their own jerk off stories.
It's so funny watching her try to flirt with him because she's like, "Come on, let's flirt. You haven't had sex in a while. Let's flirt." And he's like, "I don't know what you're doing."
All I could think of for that is they're like Gail and Coach end up being like jerk off soulmates.
Right?
There. Like they have like an
right
epiphany between them.
Seriously.
Yeah. So they try to shake hands, and he's like, "Just jerked off," and he says, "It doesn't bother me, but I get it."
I get it.
God, I love her.
Yeah. So then we get some more of the hockey chatting from back at Modine's, more hockey chat between Wayne and Stewart. Glenn informs him that it's last call, and Wayne asked Stewart if he'd like to go grab some after, and he said, yeah. Wayne hops up and goes, pays Glenn and asks him for a few beers. Glenn tells him he's not going to drive. He says, nope, you are. So they head out. Glenn goes and says he's going to grab the beers. Then we back over at the church. The matchmaker kicks off the final round, but scolds them all for not taking it seriously and not liking, and she doesn't like the stories that they've been hearing about mitts and holes and jerking off.
She is very uncomfortable. That is not like her.
She's a professional.
And so everybody responds with,
You'll never find love if you're looking for it.
Yes.
It's when you're not looking.
Are you not even going to try to finish the sentence? No? That's great. That's great. You know what? I don't even care anyway. Good luck, fuckers. Professional.
Like that's me at the end of the school day. I don't swear. God damn.
So yeah. So she leaves. Katie as Coach, who would rather take down Dax or Ron? He says he'd rather just jerk off.
Neither.
Yeah, just jerk off. Gail asks Rold if he'd like pin up with this old goat, and he says whatever it takes to get on with this Dax and Ron narrative, and taking old Rold down. And so they check in. Dax and Ron check in with each other if they should, and say, yeah, let's do it. And so they hop up, and they pass by Rold, and he's frowning, and
he looks so sad. He's like, oh God, oh, they're leaving.
Yeah.
Oh.
And so then Ron turns around and says, Rolled.
And then he jumps up and he's so cute. Oh my God, I love that.
First he says, please forgive me to his locket.
To his locket of Stewart.
Stewart locket,
mm-hmm.
And
then
he hops
flailing run.
Right. And each of them grab one of his arms and haul him off backwards. Whatever this old narrative, old Roldy. So Yes, it's adorable. And
so adorable.
Yes. So Derry and Squirrely Dan catch up, and gives Squirrely Dan gives him his Valentine, and Derry opens up. It's a beaver. This is the greatest Valentines of my life. And then Katie and
he's
Coach,
so pure.
Katie and Coach end up with more masturbation, jerking off chat. Is this thing on? We're there now. We're at the barn, the hockey barn. Stuart and Wayne are hitting the puck. Stuart will hit it to Wayne. Wayne will shoot it in the goal, vice versa. They're still making more hockey chat. Glenn is sitting out on the ice on a little box, drinking his hot cocoa with his mittens hanging down on strings from his sleeves. He almost get hits, and Wayne tells him to keep an eye out on the puck so he doesn't get dinged. He says he thanks him for the tip, and also thanks him for the tip at the bar. Stuart says, "You tip?" And he goes, "How much did you tip?" He says 20%. Stuart scoffs. Wayne says, "How much do you tip?" He goes, "Nothing." He says, I've been to Australia. I'm part Australian. Wayne hauls off and sends a puck flying at him. And you hear Stuart squeal in the background. The horn sounds, cut to black. And that's the end of that episode.
Yeah.
So
I know you had mentioned it before on the podcast at one point. Have you seen the Jared Kiso Grapes of Wrath? It's there's actually 4 movies, but Grapes of Wrath is a 2-part series they did in Canada.
The Don Cherry story.
Cherry. Yep.
I happen to have acquired a couple of DVDs of that.
Nice little friend.
We have a friend. We won't name their name.
No,
but they got us a copy of both parts. And yeah, I do know that in the second one, there is a young Don Cherry, and then there's old Don Cherry, and young Don Cherry is played by Tyler Johnston, who we talked about that with him when we interviewed him.
Yep.
And then and old Don Cherry, because he's like 4 years older than Tyler Johnston,
right.
was played by Jared Kiso. So
right, yeah. So that little line there where he almost hits Glenn and he carries on about if you're gonna come to the game, you got to keep an eye. That's all from a line in that movie. And there's a whole thing where Don Cherry goes on about it and took a bunch of heat because it was a lady had gotten hit, and it was because she wasn't paying attention and she was chirping with her girlfriends or whatever it was, but it came off Don Cherry, kind of sexist and unappealing to the masses. But like as soon as Wayne said that, that's all I could hear was the Don Cherry voice.
Well, because one of the names they mention is Stuart brings up Don Cherry, and Wayne goes, "Let's go."
Right.
So that was also a nod to that.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get into our we'll just start our thoughts, theories, trivia, etc. I'll just I don't have a lot. I'll just go quickly through mine and everybody. So another Wayne being a poopy pants about a holiday again. Wayne doesn't mention, now this is just a little thing about timeline of where this lands, because Wayne doesn't mention Mary Fred as a reason not to go to the speed dating event.
A lot of questions about the timeline.
So it kind of makes a feller wonder. And Stuart's hair, drinking, and drugs in the bathroom. So this leads me to believe it's before or well after him getting sober. So
true, but he was sober in this season.
Right.
And so then the question I had with it was Riley and Jonesy talk about having the clap again.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone's like, what? Because it literally just happened not that long ago.
Yeah.
If we go by season wise.
Yeah.
So then does Valentine's Day actually happen after this season, or is it
I don't know.
a while after this season?
Good question. Don't know.
Yeah, I had a bunch of questions about that.
So Wayne and Stuart swapping language between themselves. So the hard no versus wonder.
Yes. I loved that.
So the sport mackin, which is their testing out their for Riley and Jonesy, testing out their flirting abilities. Hockeyfights.com is a real thing.
I was going to ask.
We have verified here that Dax and Ron are bi/pan.
Mm-hmm.
Rold's anarchy symbol on his A and on his name tag. The Don Cherry reference that both of them have, both Tyler and Jared have played Don Cherry. So that's all I got in a nutshell right there.
And you might have a harder time finding it, but there's another 2-part series that Kiso was Don Cherry, and it's called Keep Your Head Up, Kid.
Yeah, I think I've got two. I've got 4 DVDs or Blu-rays.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
then you should have it. Yeah, you should have it all.
There you go.
Cool. That's what we're gonna do in our week off.
Maybe.
Right.
They're very good.
We'll see what we do.
So God, there were so many things in this episode. I really love this episode. It's probably my favorite of all of the holiday ones so far.
Yeah.
Timeline wise, it's so weirdly wibbly wobbly that I'm really curious on, like, I know none of the holidays are canonically like at a certain time in a certain season or whatever. They could literally be at any point, but I found it really interesting that they alluded to having the clap, just had the clap, which happened in the season, like I said.
Right. That was which episode was that?
That was episode 5.
Okay, so
this season.
Yeah.
So literally just a couple of episodes ago.
Right. So one episode prior to the season finale.
Yes.
That is wonky how they do that, because it would have been like episode 3 that they went to the city to save the Skids.
Right.
And in that one, Stuart has short hair.
Right.
Yeah.
But then in the Valentine's Day episode, he's got long hair again.
Right. Exactly. So maybe this is actually like really far in the future.
Right.
And we don't know.
Maybe it's more on season 7 cusp than it is on the end of 6
that could
cusp.
be. That could very well be.
I'm sure Awesome will have some words about that.
I'm sure. I love some of the little quips that the matchmaker does in the beginning, like under her breath stuff, like worst turnout I've ever had. And that the event was happening in a church for some reason. And
for some flippin'
reason. I find it really funny that Letterkenny is essentially this drunk town, but they're having this event, a dry event.
Right. Why not have it at the Ags Hall?
Right. Or at Modine's. It wasn't like there were a whole lot of people that showed up.
Yeah.
And I mean, I feel like they had the same amount of people for the Century Club.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because there was only Wayne and Stuart at Modine's. So.
Yep. Because quote unquote everybody else was out for Valentine's Day.
Right.
Yeah. I love that when Wayne and Stuart are starting to talk with each other. When Wayne says that, Stuart probably has some rails hidden in the bathroom or something like that. Some rips, sorry. That Stuart and Glenn hiss at each other.
Like, Stuart.
And it was.
I had a note about that too. That was great. That whole interaction where they just kind of like snarl and hiss and growl at each other.
Yeah, Stuart's a.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is not the first time he's done that.
Nope.
No.
And then most unlikely duo since Judas and JC.
True.
Which I fully believe. When we first actually it wouldn't be the first time, when the speed dating is just starting and we see Katie and Ron sitting together, Katie's just sitting there with her mouth open already. And I'm like, how much flirting has already happened before we got to that point?
Mm-hmm.
And then there was the when she was basically saying, okay, date, and someone goes, fight. I love that, the Mortal Kombat.
That's
those were great.
Right. Because in our
fight.
Yeah.
That's where I got that from.
I thought it sounded familiar.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all from the show.
We learned that Roald is a power bottom.
Yes.
Which I'm pretty sure if you know what a power bottom is, that is no surprise.
Term's so muddled.
We've talked about it on the show before.
It would be muddled. I mean, it's muddled. It will be muddled between sexualities. And
it could. Honestly, could be so many things.
With all the things that have happened, like with Roald and Stuart and their kind of strange relationship, and I can see how there's really no way to define like what's going on with Roald.
Right.
Like he's all over the map.
He's a very adventurous bottom.
Very much.
Yeah.
He's quite switchy.
Yes.
He'll be whatever you need him to be.
Exactly. Whatever it takes to end this whole narrative. I had a question/theory that Roald and Ron had already been together at some point in the past. The way that they flirt, he's like saying, you know, oh, I've gotten older. Haven't seen you since Little League.
Right.
And, oh, you know, I've gotten older and I don't have as much, you know, I don't know all the things. But it really sounded to me like maybe they met when Roald was a baby gay. And now that he's got a partner and Roald still kind of has a crush on him, he's like, yeah, okay, I think we could do this again. So I have a theory about that. I believe that happened.
That sounds
I
legit.
didn't think about that, but that whole conversation was very centric to like them knowing each other from childhood, I guess.
Or younger for sure.
Right.
Like the way that I read it was that Ron was kind of the older gentleman that helped Roldy explore his sexuality at a young age, which is very, very common. I can't think of the name. Yeah. I'm sure.
Well, and then, because Roald made the whole thing about the grass grows here, and he like that. Right.
Yeah.
Ooh, good theory. I didn't go that deep into that right away, but now it's like the wheels are turning on that one.
But then also along that, it made me start thinking, how have they not hooked up together? And I actually had to go and look this up. Because back in season 4, episode 3, Dax and Ron said that they like otters, which is a, small, petite, hairy,
skinny, hairy dude.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hello. How have they not hooked up with Roald yet? Like they've been through all of the, 18, 19-year-olds in the town that might be, but come on.
You almost would think that it's coincidence how often the script does that in the show through all the different seasons, because there's a lot of different kind of throwbacks when you watch it all and then look back that are just like that. I really hope that it's very strategic writing. Like I really hope that they're putting that in there on purpose.
Oh yeah,
because that's kind of how we all see it.
Yeah,
right.
And we've had confirmation from both Tyler and Jess Salguero saying that the writing that they do, because there have been so many questions.
Hardly anything is
improv.
Yeah.
It's so smart.
Yeah.
Like the writing is so intelligent.
Exactly.
Okay, let's see. I love that in the very beginning they're quoting Heartbreaker from Pat Benatar.
Yeah.
What did Jonesy learn from all of this? All butts are gay, but not all gays have butts. That was the last when he was recounting it back to Riley. That was what he had learned. I had to write it down because it was so perfect.
And they're both like, it's so deep. Yeah.
They don't really understand it, but they're like, oh, totally.
Like Jonesy just gets it.
Right?
Nobody else does, but somehow it's like, bro.
I love how Riley and Jonesy seem to be the ones that bring up pop culture a lot that like you wouldn't think of. Like they quoted The Handmaid's Tale in an episode earlier, and in this one they say that they learned what a bug catcher was from watching Grey's Anatomy.
Right.
I don't know why I wouldn't think of them as watching Grey's Anatomy. It does not compute, but also it's so flippin' perfect thinking about that's a bug catcher. Yeah, that's totally
Bug chaser.
Bug chaser, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I wanted to look that up to see if that was like a real Grey's Anatomy episode.
I did not do that.
I would assume.
I'll have to.
I should ask my wife. I don't know.
I should have looked that up before I started.
Should have. Did not think of that. And then I've just got 2 more really quick things. I wonder if Gail and Coach ever are going to hook up because I feel like Gail is going to be the one to break that dry spell at some point.
Yeah.
And she's totally willing to do it.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that really caught my eye was there's no McMurrays in this episode.
True.
And the fact that the McMurrays are the most, other than
in
Gail,
the lifestyle.
Well, they're the most open about their sexuality outside of Gail.
Right.
And this was a very like sexual innuendo heavy episode. I just found it interesting that they weren't there. Of course, they're probably off like in the Dominican or something for Valentine's Day. So, but yeah, anyway.
Yep.
That's all I got.
What you got, Ryan?
Well, the Stuart locket that Roald wears. Like, I love that it's open, the whole thing. Like, it seems early on, Roald kind of knows that, like, well, you didn't want to come, you didn't want to be a part of this. Something's happening today. Like,
well,
and then that whole narrative.
One thing real quick about the locket. One of the things is that he's got it open, which means to me that he's showing that Stuart is his. Not it's like he's allowing Stuart to watch as well as letting everybody know that he's Stuart's.
I'm still Stuart's,
right?
But I'm here to get laid by these two.
Right. And the whole Dax and Ron thing for him, the whole episode, it just killed me because it's over and over again. It's all everybody can talk about. Well, it's all he talked about. Nobody else said a word about it. And then like back to the writing, just how intelligent it is with at one point, I think it's Dax or Ron that says something about Rusty Kuntz.
Yes.
And Rusty Kuntz was a baseball player.
Right.
So I had to look that up too. And
I only knew that because of roller derby. I knew somebody who had that as her roller derby name. And I was like, that seems a little too on the nose. And she's like, nah, it was a real guy's name. And then I had to learn about him then. So that's.
Yep. There you go.
And then with the hockey players like Wayne and Stewart the whole time, like I've been in a rink and around a rink for easily the last 20 or 25 years. And I don't think I could sit and name that many hockey players in 30 or 40 minutes. And especially like it made sense. Like when you go through and pay attention to who they are, like they talk about like toughest guy and fighters and that goes on. And then they're the backup goalie. And then they talk about like, they named 12 or 15 different goalies. And it was amazing to go through and pay attention to all those names. Cause it was, like I said, I couldn't have named that many in a row.
Yeah.
I've seen conversations between my husband and his son about football that very much mirror that, where I'm just sitting there going, I've heard 2 of those names out of the 50 you just talked about. So.
Best shutdown corner in the 90s.
Yeah, exactly. Which I wouldn't be able to do. But this 16, almost 17-year-old boy would be like, oh, it's blah, blah, blah. And Dean would be like, well, what about blah, blah, blah? And then they'll start talking about it. I'm like, I'm going to leave now.
And then the whole scene at the rink, like it's so TV magic. Like there's not a rink anywhere in North America that's just going to allow 2 drunk guys to wander in and shoot one-timers and
let somebody
just
sit and watch.
Yeah, with no equipment, no helmets. No rink manager's that cool.
Yeah, I want to know who made that slap shot at Glenn and how Jacob Tierney agreed to it.
And then the matchmaker was really pregnant or suit.
I think she was really pregnant. That's my guess.
Like it looked like a suit to me.
It did not look.
I think it was like a Spanx thing. She was trying to keep her form.
That's my guess. Is she had like some kind of like slimmer
girdle
on over top of, because to me it looked like she was kind of squared off in the back, and that's absolutely what some of those undergarments do. But yeah, if she was pregnant and wearing like Spanx or something like it, I could see it looking like that.
Yeah, I don't see
I'm gonna look it up.
I don't see any reason, because it never got mentioned.
No,
and
but she rubs her belly so often.
Belly.
It's like she's like, I'm definitely pregnant. This is not fat.
So yeah, I mean, because it's not brought up as a subject. So I mean, there was no plot point to it or anything like that. So so it makes more sense to me that she actually was pregnant and she just
and then we haven't seen her since. So
true.
Right.
Into that.
Yeah, the only other thing I've seen her in is was it Goon 1 or 2? She was the one.
Oh, I'm not sure.
She was the flight attendant.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I don't think I even knew that.
Yeah,
I don't think I can watch those.
There she is.
So I think that's pretty much all I had for.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was a lot of quick hitting comedy. With the lot of fast riffing. I mean, it's oddly enough, there wasn't. I didn't find. I mean, because unless you're super, super knowledgeable about hockey players, I didn't find a lot of what Wayne and Stewart were doing I couldn't tell. I mean, I knew what they were saying was these were important people, but I don't know hockey well enough to say, oh yeah. I mean, I may have recognized a name or two, like Probert. I recognized, Don Cherry, of course. So, I mean, but a lot of the other ones they mentioned, I'm like, I think when he called him Iafrady, that was a name that I recognized. Yeah.
But there wasn't really any content to that. It was just kind of banter, like not. It was having like some vast hockey knowledge didn't make that any better.
Right. It was just them. That was their common ground part. That was it.
Right. Which all started with the hatred for jocks.
Right. So
I used that line too, where at one point Wayne's like, "I'd rather have silverfish in my kitchen than hockey player." I use that line at work. Somebody will come back and be like, "Hey, there's a hockey player out here wants to talk to you. Want me to send him back to your office?" Like, no, I'd rather have silverfish in my office than hockey player.
Oh boy. So you can find another?
I found her, but I can't find personal information like just about every Canadian actor.
Yeah, so many Canadian actors that you can't find.
Shame on you for not having all of your stuff online for those of us who want to talk about you to strangers.
That's one other thing. I don't think I put it in my notes, but just Canadian actors. So the actor that played Devin early on in the show, have you ever looked him up on IMDb or anything?
I have early on.
His like profile picture is like 10-year-old him like playing for Hockey USA or Canada's national. It's very strange that it's like a 10-year-old hockey picture on his actor profile.
Yeah,
I am not surprised though. Like now I have to go look him up because. Oh, okay, I see what you mean.
I would say
it's literally like him in little hockey outfit.
Okay, that's not what it was. Alexander DeJordy.
Yeah.
So yeah, I looked him up a long time ago when we first started doing this, but have never looked since. But I remember it must have been changed since. So because I don't think I've ever seen that.
I don't think he's got a lot on there.
He's only got 2 pictures.
That one I've seen.
That one and that one.
I haven't seen that one. All right. So we ready for a little
Berta.
Yeah. All right.
There's gonna be a lot of fucking happen. I mean, what?
So for those who are playing at home, our this Fuck Fight Ferta is our version of Fuck Marry Kill. We don't like to kill anybody. We'll fight them and we'll be their buddies. But and we don't want to get married to them. So, no. But we'll fuck them all right. So let's start off like we do with Wayne.
Well, I mean, Wayne's being a poopy pants in this one. I'm gonna say Ferta, even knowing that continuity wise he may not be with Marie Fred, and it may just be that he's being a poopy pants. I don't like Valentine's Day, but I'm not gonna poop on it for my friends.
Okay, then. Ryan?
Yeah, I think I'm kind of Ferta too. Same thing. Kind of irritates me that he's all poopy pants about Valentine's Day, but and everything that happens between him and Stuart, like it's just so heartwarming that they, find a common ground when they're both poopy pants about the holiday and then, hang out for the day.
Very much. Yeah.
Clearly a sign of the apocalypse coming, but so yeah, right, Ferta for Wayne.
All right. So, I can agree with that. Derry. Derry's cute.
Derry's cute. Yeah. Ferta.
Yeah. I can see there's a little more to him this time, but still not enough, I think, this round to go beyond Ferta.
There wasn't a whole lot of meat for him in this episode other than just kind of being cute and goofy.
Yeah. Agreed. Ryan?
Yeah, same deal. Ferta. Anytime Derry adds to the list of words he can't say in an episode, it makes me happy. So
you gotta love him.
Alan, times.
Miss Katie's.
Okay.
I think, and I told you
that's like the second time ever I've said that too.
Because this is one of the first times that I can recall. I mean, I like Katie.
I don't know if I did before.
Yeah, no, but this would probably be one of the first times that I'd ever put her in my fuck list.
She just kind of drips sexuality.
Yeah.
But also at the same time, she's kind of what's the word? She's hot and like in your face, but also demure at the same time.
She's a bit subby.
Yeah. That's got to be what it is. It's like one of the first times that she's like, oh. Instead of, kind of being a bitch a little bit.
Right. A bish.
Good. I'm in good company then, because like normally Katie's not my type.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
So I mean, I know everybody just seems to swoon over Katie a lot. Like on
she's a pretty girl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's pretty.
But same thing, yeah, with like the dirty talk and her like very bite her lip under her breath.
Yes.
Like, and I almost feel bad because it seems like, Dax and Ron got that poor girl all worked up and then left rolled.
Right.
Like, what's poor Katie doing? So
She's
yeah.
trying to flirt with Coach. Like she knew it wasn't going to happen too, because she's just like, all right, let's talk with you now.
Yeah, she got things on her mind.
A little bit.
Squirrely Dan.
I love that he made little Valentine's cards for everybody. I'm going to say Ferda, because in this one, Dan, he was learning a lot.
Yeah.
And he was cute as fuck, but that's really about it.
Yeah, he didn't try to turn the sexy on or anything.
Right.
He's just
he wasn't like a main part of this episode. He was just
like Derry.
Yeah. Agreed.
Nope. Yeah. Same. Ferda for Dan, like just super cute. He makes all his friends Valentines
and smiling every time, like that big smile, and he's so proud of himself when they open it and get it, and then like when when Riley opens his and doesn't get it, and he's like, really?
Kind of frowns.
Like his whole face drops.
Because when he was with Riley and Riley hit him with the come on line, and Dan didn't immediately, like Professor Trisha would shit a brick over this.
Right.
Horrible come on line. I was like, oh, I'm proud of you, Dan. You didn't pull the Professor Trisha in.
Yeah.
So,
yep.
And then, Daxie was like so touched by the I'm a hit.
Use so is. I love that. Use is. Stuart. I don't want to fight. I
don't want to fight him. So I guess. But
I do kind of want to. I smack him for not tipping. But.
Definitely, like that. Yeah, I was fully on Stuart's side this entire episode, right up until that last bit, because if you don't tip, all you're doing is helping the business owners who don't want to pay their employees. Like it just shouldn't be that way. It's not.
Yeah.
I mean, people don't make enough money to live when they're tending bar or, whatever. So if you have it, help them. If you can afford to go out and drink, you can afford to tip. Thank you.
True.
If you cannot, do not.
Just
go to the store.
Are you Ferda and
I'm
fight?
Ferda with maybe a smack at the end, like you're saying.
An angry Ferda.
Yeah. Like a dude, like Wayne, like they were getting along and everything was fine. He's wait, you don't tip? And then it hits him with a hockey puck. I get that. I get it.
There you go.
Yeah. That's like one of my number one pet peeves.
Same.
In the world. Like and it not even like the service was bad. I didn't give him a good tip. It was just, I don't tip because I don't have I'm Australian, like he just kind of made
which is
randomness.
I mean,
I just don't want to. So I'd punch him in the face.
Yeah.
But is it a Ferda punch or is it a fight? You're going to fight him?
No, I think it'd be a fight.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Fight on fight, bud. If you're not going to tip, nope.
All right. How about our buddy Glenn?
Ferda. He's so cute. He's just.
I'm good at this.
I know. Just. He was making himself have a good time, even though he only had 2 customers on this most love of days.
Do your job first.
I do have to say, I don't think I've ever been to a bar that was empty on Valentine's Day, though.
I don't know if I've ever been to a bar on Valentine's Day.
Well, I used to work in bars, so.
All right. Yeah, same.
You're Ferda and Glenn.
Right. I think always Ferda Glenn. I don't. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Roldy.
I am so excited for Roldy to finally get his dream threesome with those two, with Dax and Ron. I would not want to interrupt that. However, Roldy would be on my fuck list for sure because he's Roldy.
So yeah, we're gonna assume in this that I mean,
Yes.
if you want to fuck it, we're gonna assume that
there's
is,
consent
yes,
and that there's interest.
yes, exactly. So I mean, there's definitely and well, we'll get to that. So Roll's a fuck for you, and I get that. I'd be the same.
Totally
way.
Ferda for Rolled. Good for Rolled. He saw something he wanted and he took it in a very weird and passive aggressive kind of way.
A very bottomy way.
He very manipulated his way into it.
He power bottomed his way through
That's
that.
exactly. He was like, I want to get fucked by those two people. So I'm going to make it very clear that I want to be fucked by those two people. And everyone is going to know that I want to be fucked by those two people.
Exactly. Coach. Why? Why is Coach here?
Right? Like I think Coach really wants to get laid, but also doesn't. Yeah, exactly. Like he tried to make something happen there, and he tried to put himself out there, and just was like, I'm not ready. I'd rather jerk off.
Yeah.
I get it.
Ding dong. All of his little sound effects that went with it, and that's all just fantastic Coach stuff.
Precisely. So
Ferda.
Ferda for
I'm going to
Coach?
say Ferda, yeah.
You too, right?
Yeah, I think I have to Ferda for Coach.
Yeah, that makes
I'm
sense.
not mad at him for just wanting to go pull his goalie.
Yeah.
And I'm doing these all separately because they are all separate. So we'll be going Dax, Ron, Riley, and Jonesy. They're all separate this time.
Okay. Can you remind me which is which on Dax and Ron?
Dax is the short one.
Dark hair.
Dark hair.
Okay. Okay.
So Dax, he's a hit.
He is a hit. And honestly, like the look on his face when he was like, I'm a hit. Like that was it was like this is so sweet. And I don't know. I kind of melted a little at that look. I might be up to fuck.
All right.
It's weird because it's not in my wheelhouse, but I feel like if I had a type, it'd probably be Dax. Like Dax would probably be my gay guy type. I really like that.
Because that's one of the things I was going to do here in a bit. We could do it now. Because Katie asked instead of Coach, which one would you take down, Dax or Ron?
If I could only choose one?
Yeah. Because that's what I'm assuming that's what
Dax.
Katie was going. Okay.
Yeah, it'd be Dax.
I would take
sure.
Ron.
Oh yeah, Ron's totally your type. I see that. I can totally see that.
Take it home.
Yes, exactly. That is exactly why. Whereas with Dax is a little sweeter.
He's the catcher.
He is the catcher. That's true.
All right. Okay. So you're both fuck with Dax.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. So then Ron.
Fuck.
Agreed. Yeah.
No,
I mean,
I got yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I would be completely down for a threesome with those two.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that would be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway.
Make sure you get your shots.
I use barriers. Thank you very much.
Make sure
wear
they
a fucking raincoat.
Yeah.
Well, apparently they're clean in this episode. Because they were almost like surprised that Riley and Jonesy weren't. They were like, again?
Right? Didn't you figure out how to not do that so quickly?
Yeah. So you're further with Ron?
Yeah, I'm definitely a Ferda with Ron.
All right.
Totally respect all his dirty talk talents, but
I have no talent when it comes to dirty talk. Like, I'm super impressed by people that can do it and don't sound awkward, because I would be like, I take my shirt off.
Because the other thing I was going to do is for Riley and Jonesy, do your best sport macking.
No, thank you.
And it could be awful.
I don't flirt like that.
Yeah, I don't think I have a line either.
Like the closest thing I would have to a line would be, I've got, what was it? Those pants are very becoming on you. Of course, if I was in your pants, I'd be coming too.
I think
That is literally the only one I remember.
I really like those pants. They'd look great on my floor.
Yeah, that's a good one. I like that one.
Yeah, I got nothing. I just don't. That's not how I would go about it. I don't.
Right.
Never have.
Mine is literally like a joke my friends and I used to say to each other like 20 years ago. I don't know anything.
Right.
Anyone who has flirted with me in the last 20 years knows I do not flirt like that.
I hope you brought
no
a towel. It's a
judgment.
slip and slide over here, boys.
That's one of my favorite lines in the show.
All right, so let's Riley and Jonesy. Riley and Jonesy. Ferda. You Ferda.
I got that clap again.
Yeah, I'm almost borderline on fight because now it seems like you're actively not trying to not get the clap.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I don't know who because one pass it to the other. It's for all.
Jonesy got her second because I remember Jonesy was the one saying that he got her.
Yeah, he
second.
passed him a one-timer.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
So are you fight on both of them?
I'll fight on both of them.
All right.
Like, figure it out.
All right, figure it out.
Figure it out. That's what I say.
Sort your junk out. Gail.
I love the conversation that Gail has with Coach. I love that she's so very much like, yeah, I just masturbated and I don't care if you just did. I mean, you want to do it together? We can do a thing. And, like, you could tell that Coach was flustered probably for the first time where he's like, I know.
What are you doing later? You know.
So I feel like I desperately want to be Gail's friend. But I feel like that could be a friend that could turn into a fuck.
Okay.
Because she's so fun. In this episode, she's just hilarious to me.
Okay.
It's not
so Ferda?
Weird and creepy. Yeah.
All right.
Ferda plus.
Ferda plus. Extra Ferda.
I'll totally jump on that bandwagon and Ferda plus. Like, ever since Dan said it a million episodes ago, like every time I see her, and especially when she did her little dance in this one, the first thing I thought was, "There's Gail, upbeat and horny."
Right?
Exactly. And then finally, the matchmaker.
I'm fighting her
all day long
because fuck that fucking baby talk. Oh.
She can eat my rusty cunts.
I mean, at least in the last episode she was in, she was just annoying and kind of a little overbearing to me. But in this episode, I absolutely hated the character.
I mean, I have a feeling that's kind of why Wayne stayed out of it as well, because
knowing it was her.
Yeah,
could be.
Oh yeah. Very, very legitimate theory there. That because he.
They did not get along well.
No, not so much. But Katie was fine with her, so I guess that's all. Yeah. So that's everything. So final thoughts. Anyone? Anything?
I am super glad that Roldy finally got the threesome of his dreams, like I said.
Yes.
I love, like I said, this is my favorite holiday episode. Not thinking continuity wise, because the more I think about that, the more it kind of bugs me. But just it's funny, it's quick-witted, and it fits in both with the arcs that have been happening in these characters' storylines, without it being specific time in their storyline.
True.
So I love that.
It's a way to make something canon without having to jump in on a different storyline. Yeah.
Whereas most of the holiday episodes they're cute, but they don't feel like they're actually trying to tell you something and further along the story. They're like bonus episodes. This one felt like it was furthering the story.
True. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, no, I think so too. And just how most shows that they do like a Valentine, like everything's done so cutesy, and this was done like so realistic, cutesy but dirty and borderline filthy, and somebody got what they want, somebody didn't, kind of very good, and like always super smart writing, and overall real enjoyable episode.
I like this one. It's a good one. I mean hell, there's you got some. I'm surprised there wasn't more fucking going on, but there's a lot of Ferda.
I'm a little surprised, actually. I was expecting to want to fuck everybody, but like then I thought about it, because again, I don't think about that ahead of time until you actually ask me the question, and I do that on purpose.
Right.
And I was under the assumption that I was going to want to like fuck everybody, because nobody did anything in this to really like piss me off other than the not tipping thing.
Right.
So
and the matchmaker being a
I just
kick her in the ass and say, "Get the fuck out."
I hate people in real life that talk like that. Like it's not. It does not work for me. And I know that a lot of that has to do with that I get really uncomfortable in social situations when people do things that I don't expect. And baby talk is definitely something I don't expect with other adults. But seriously, it's just like, fucking stop saying diddly do,
Leeler,
whatever. And, don't, like, she acts so pure too. So like offended by everything. And I don't know. I hate that.
Agreed.
I love how they steadily just like pissed her off more and more and more until she's finally like, just fuckers.
I'm a professional. Exactly. All right. So next week we've got nothing.
Woo! Week off.
We're taking a week off. The week after that will be our season 6 recap show, which will feature a little little interview with Jess Salguero.
So good.
It was so fun.
She's amazing. And we got to watch her too, because we had a video chat going, God, she's so pretty. I just want to run my hands through her hair.
Oh, she has gorgeous hair. I mean, that's not fair. That's not fair.
It's not fair. It is not fair. It's not fair.
Jess, damn it. We love you.
Every time that conversation comes up somewhere about the best looking girl in Letterkenny, Candace is always at the top of my list.
Yeah.
And I'm very upset she wasn't in this episode, so I couldn't drool all over about it more.
Yeah.
But then, definitely her or Jess after that.
Yeah. I would have liked to seen some Tanis, some Marianne Betty Ann in there.
Mrs. McMurray.
Yeah.
Bonnie McMurray. Not McMurray.
Shorzy.
Not Shorzy. Shorzy was busy with Riley and Jonesy's mom. He already had a date.
It was Valentine's Day. He had a lot going on.
Right.
All right.
But like the other hockey players, well, most of them are married, but
Boomtown is.
Yeah. At least a couple of them are, though, I think.
Maybe.
Anyway.
I don't know. But yeah, that was fun.
Next week.
2 weeks from now will be our recap show. And then we'll have at the end of it the Jess Salguero interview. So and let's see, and we'll be finishing out this episode with some more music from our friends at Flexidecibel. The song is called Endeavor. Thanks for listening to this episode of How Are You Now? If you'd like to, subscribe. Give us a nice review on either Apple /iTunes or podchaser.com. We'd like to thank our musical guests this week, Flexidecibel out of Muskegon, Michigan. You can find them at flexidecibel.com, also on flexidecibel.bandcamp.com. All of their information will be in our show notes. Also, thanks to our good buddy Ryan Devlin for joining us this week. If you would like to be a guest on our show, send us a note at hosts@howareyounowpod.com. Also, join our Patreon at patreon.com/howareyounowpod. If you join at the $5 level, we'll even promote stuff for you. So we will see you guys in 2 weeks for our season 6 recap show with Jess Salguero. Take care, you D-Gens.
Bye.
Easily lost to you see there's no paths or streets courtesy of my ADD. Can you hear my insanity just flutter beat because goddamn the soundtrack